I could explain to you all what it is, but I think the best way for you to understand is if you just try yourself.
So let me start by saying, I'm sure you're hearing this from everyone. Congrats on this movie. It's what I call fucking awesome. So I'm sure you're hearing that from everyone. I like throwing some curveballs because I have a little extra time with you guys today.
Cool. Okay.
When you think about everything you've worked on, what shot or sequence has been the most challenging of your career and why? Maybe it's a oneer, maybe it's a camera move, dialogue. Is there a shot or sequence that you would rank as like the hardest?
Yeah, I don't know. I wrote and directed a movie before this called I Love My Dad, and I had to shoot this whole scene in a diner where I'm like having a panic attack, but I'm also acting in it and I'm directing it, and it's like it was 100+ degrees in that room. That for me was the hardest thing I've ever done.
I was on a couple episodes of the show Gotham, and I played the Scarecrow, the Batman villain. And I had these crazy gloves and kind of prosthetics on. And I remember there was a moment where I was holding there's a bag, and I need to reach out and take this little piece of paper out to show it in someone's face. And I couldn't grab the thing because all the crazy shit on my hands. And I remember talking to the guy who was playing Mr. Freeze afterwards. He's just sitting in his chair, and I'm like, I was having difficulty with that. He's like, you just got to do it, man. I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, that was a great lesson. You just got to do it sometimes.
We're internally panicking. I really can't think of anything specific, but oneers are really hard. So the oneer that we had in this movie, how many times did we have to do that? We did that a lot, and we were in a rush, as it typically is with an indie. So that was challenging, but it was great.
Yeah. I would say the most challenging for me was when I play musicians. I did a show called Little Voice, and I would have to learn the songs really quickly. It was Sarah Bareilles' music, and she's a very talented but very intuitive composer, musician. And so her music would be in 6/8 time, and I would have to learn the songs and play the piano and also have an earwig in, and so and sing at the same time. So that was really difficult to do, but also very rewarding. But I would say doing anything with music or dancing or playing musicians is very difficult because sometimes you're not even that well versed with the instrument. That's very difficult.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. A lot of people don't realize that when you're playing someone who is incredible at something or very talented, you need to learn that sometimes in a day.
Yes.
Most times you don't have months to get ready for something, and you may have to make it look amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's off at the tangent. So what the hell has it been like for the four of you? This movie, you make this as an indie. This is not some huge movie, and then you go to Sundance and it sells for a crazy amount of money, and now it's a big movie on Netflix.
It's a Cinderella story. The pumpkin took us at Sundance.
It's
maybe
the
on
dream,
skis.
It's
Yeah, it's been nuts. I mean, it's just so fun to have made this thing where, it's so crazy and we're given so much freedom, Greg just really let us play, and we had this, week of rehearsal at the top where we're all just getting to know each other, and so it's I don't know, it just felt like just a fun, safe little playground to make this thing, and then to see it all explode has been wild. I mean, last night we walked down the street to the billboard and, took some photos, which was a kind of really surreal moment. I've never seen that before. It's been nice.
It's a really satisfying feeling, because this movie could have gone so wrong. But I think we each took a bet on one another and on the story and on Greg and thought, I think this is going to be something really special. And so it's just so satisfying to see other folks feel similarly about it.
Well, this also has to be this is one of those movies where you read the script and you really don't know what the final film is going to look like, especially with how he edited it and how cool that aspect was. And then the cinematography and the music, there's so much in the post-production that made this movie. So I'm curious if you guys could all talk about reaction reading the script for the first time and then the reaction finally seeing it all come together.
My experience reading the script was kind of confusing. It's a tough story to capture on the page because there are all these people in different bodies, and those people are moving throughout the script. So it was hard for me to visualize, but then seeing Greg's work, seeing all of his VFX work and the shorts he'd made, I knew he was going to be able to pull it off and make something spectacular.
And I feel like, yeah, like, you know, and also we're all running around through this house and we're to your bodies and we have, you know, and it's kind of, you're trying to keep track of who's who. But I remember watching the film and being like, oh, it's like a Midsummer Night's Dream or something.
Totally.
I was like, oh, you know, like it really clicked and it's fun and stylized. And yeah, I think it really came together nicely.
It was so clear from the start that Greg knew what he was going to do. He had such great ideas, you know, with the Polaroids and then with the red light to reveal the people who are inside each other. And the one time I was a bit confused was when we were doing the flashback scene and he was taking photos, and it's that edited sequence of just like the really fast like photography. What do you call that? Like, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it because I've never seen it before. It's so cool. Of the flashback of the parties, you know, getting the whole backstory.
It almost felt like a flip book.
Yeah,
it was
flip
like a
book. While we were shooting that, because he was doing that on a still camera, it was like, what's happening? But he was so sure, and you know, seeing it. That's one of my favorite things about the movie. I just think like how unique it is in the editing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the one thing that we all exercised constantly was trust, because I also was fairly confused reading the script, but I thought, okay, I get to work with amazing actors who are willing to take the risk to do this, actors who are willing to embody one another, and a cool new up-and-coming director who's very clear about his vision. I mean, I think that's where magic can be made. And so we're just really excited that it resonated with Netflix. It resonated with a lot of people at Sundance, and I hope it resonates in some way to a larger audience.
I'm very confident. I've seen what we call a lot of movies.
You have,
Yeah, so I'm willing to go out there on a ledge.
Yeah.
So you guys see the shooting schedule in front of you. What day did you have circled in terms of I can't wait to film something? And what day was circled in terms of how the F are we going to film this?
Oh gosh, I think some of the outdoor scenes in the cold at 3 a.m. were days I was not excited about. With a lot of hand warmers and foot warmers and stuff. Those are the days where, for me at least, I was mentally preparing, meditating.
There were scenes where it was like things were metaphysically happening, where someone would swap bodies and then something horrible would happen, and trying to just wrap my head around that from a performance standpoint and to try to make that real for myself. That was it felt like a tall order, because there's certain things that we just don't have as much of a frame of reference for. So those days were ones that I was definitely like wanting to make sure I really had a sense of before jumping into.
I feel like the first time that everyone swaps, that was a very fun day,
Totally.
you know, and also like we're all sitting in a circle, and it was nice, you know, because it's like, I don't know, the person's doing their thing and it's like show and tell, and then everyone else is just like sitting there, and you don't have to worry about, you know, you just get to watch like these like amazing actors, you know, have this heightened moment, you know, and so I think it was just a real testament of, you know, the work that everyone put in, and yeah, just a blast all around.
So I just have to ask, and I'm sure you've been asked this before, but you know, if this device was actually real, would you? Because I don't know if I would, but then I might. So like for you guys, would you consider doing it if it was real?
James, you said you wanted to swap with me earlier.
I'll take that back. I mean, dude, okay, this is something we talked about a lot when we were filming, like trying to ground it. Like you come in today with a suitcase, we're like, you guys want to swap bodies? We'd be like, no. I mean, and so that, you know, treating that with as much reality as possible when we were shooting it was so important. Of like, we're putting these things on our heads, and then all of a sudden you're in a different body, seeing yourself for the first time, like really tracking what that would actually be like. It wouldn't necessarily be fun in the beginning. It would be like utterly horrifying and completely disorienting.
A bad trip.
It would be a nightmare. And so, yeah, that was something we talked a lot about.
In theory, I would love to be in someone else's body, but I wouldn't want someone else in mine. So,
Here.
There it
it's
is.
tough.
Here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I don't trust you to not like run off, or I don't know. So, if there was any way to make sure that we would absolutely switch back,
Yeah.
I would love to. It'd be so fascinating, but I don't know about that.
I don't think I'd do it. That's my answer.
Yeah,
Short and simple.
I was going to be like, I got to go. But listen, congrats on the movie, you guys. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.